Growing up, there were the movies that you watched all the time. Ace Ventura, The Lion King, The Goonies. But then there were the movies that you watched. They were the weird ones, the random cable ones, and the ones that nobody else seems to remember. Here's a list of mine. All right, guys, so today we are counting down top 5 obscure movies that I watched as a kid. These are just a personal list of those really enjoyable movies that I liked that not necessarily everybody I knew liked. They were ones that were on cable. They were ones you got cheap at the store. For whatever reason, they wound up in my lap, and I ended up watching them a lot as a kid. So with that, away we go. Coming in at number 5, we got Surf Ninjas from 1993. Surf Ninjas is a great kids movie, man. In 92, 93, probably because of Ninja Turtles, ninjas were hot. Ninjas were cool. It was about 2 surfer brothers, Johnny and Adam. Johnny played by Ernie Reyes Jr. And they just find out that they're princes from a hidden island kingdom. And their Uncle Satch comes down to let them know about it. He finds out that they're going to be attacked from ninja assassins. So he grabs them, recruits them, and tells them about their lineage and how they have to stop Colonel Chi, who's played by Leslie Nielsen, in one of his most oddball performances ever. They get down to the island, and it just churns into a full-on island adventure. Adam has a very unique gift, if you will. He has the ability to predict the future through his Game Gear, which as a kid was a really cool concept. That was a big attraction to watching the movie. And I think Sega probably owed Surf Ninjas a little bit of money, because I think anybody who saw this movie really wanted a Game Gear. It was just one of those movies that felt perfect for the era. It had ninjas, surfing, video games. It was everything that kids were into at the time. And being so obsessed with stuff like Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers, it was easy to jump on to Surf Ninjas. So yeah, number 5 is Surf Ninjas. Coming in at number 4 was 1996's First Kid. Now, First Kid starred Sinbad, and he plays a Secret Service agent, and he is meant to watch out and look over the president's son. Luke is kind of a troublemaker and misunderstood kid. Because of that, they end up getting into absolute chaos. Luke tries to get Sinbad, who plays Agent Sims, fired a couple of times. And then over time, they just start bonding. There's a very memorable roller skating scene in there that I just think when you watch it even to this day, it made something like roller skating very cool. And roller skating was very cool in the 90s. One thing that really stood out about this movie in particular, and stands out a lot now, is their tackling of, I guess, predators on line and in chat room in particular, because Luke ends up talking to an anonymous person in the chat room who ends up not being somebody he should be talking to. Very ahead of its time as far as talking about that. It was on Disney Channel all the time. Anytime it was on TV, I found myself watching it. It's got that blueprint Disney live action style to it. I still think it's a great movie, and it was just one that I really, really liked. So with that, at number 4 is First Kid from 1996. Go check it out. Now at number 3, we got Little Giants. Of any of the movies on this list, I was hesitant about putting this one on because I do think quite a few people know about this one. Where I counted it as obscure is I think more people know about The Mighty Ducks, more people know about Air Bud, more people know about Rookie of the Year, and I think Little Giants gets lost in the shuffle. And Little Giants is one of my favorite kids movies. It's one of my favorite sports movies. It's one of my favorite Rick Moranis movies. This was one of the last movies he did in the theaters. I want to say that he did Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves after this, because this came out in 1995, and he retired from acting in 1996 or 1997. He plays Danny O'Shea, and he's the ultimate underdog dad, and his brother, Kevin O'Shea, played by Ed O'Neill, Al Bundy, is just, he's the guy in the town. He's the Heisman Trophy winner. He's the one who went and did all the stuff. He's the famous football player. They have a water tower in his name. Danny O'Shea's daughter, Icebox, she is a very good football player, and she wants to be on the team, and Kevin does not want her to be on the team. So because she's not on the team, Danny decides, you know what, I'm going to form my own team, and he forms a Bad News Bears style ragtag football team. It hits a lot of those tropes of underdog sports movies, especially with kids, but great one-liners in the movie. Icebox is a very memorable character, wicked tough in the movie, and the kid that played her did a fantastic job of showing how tough she was. The final part of the movie, which is the football game, is great. It's the Giants versus the Cowboys. At one point, you get some cameos from some 90s NFL players and coaches. John Madden and Emmitt Smith are in the movie, and there's a lot in it that you can watch as an adult that just, if you like Mighty Ducks style movies, if you just like sports movies, it's a good sports movie. It's a kid's movie at heart, but it's a good sports movie too. I stand by it. I just don't think it's as known in modern times as Mighty Ducks or Air Bud or Rookie of the Year, stuff like that. That's why I decided to put it on my list. So with number 3, Little Giants. All right, at number 2, we got House Arrest from 1996 as well. House Arrest was a movie that I remember finding on HBO, and then on summer vacation, I remember watching this movie. Anytime it was on HBO, I would turn it on. I believe I even recorded it on VHS so that I could just have it. I never bought it, but it was an HBO staple. House Arrest follows Grover, a kid who is absolutely mortified because his parents are getting divorced and he doesn't know what to do. So him and his sister decide that they're going to lock him up in the basement and board them up. And upon hearing that, all his buddies find out about it and they want to lock up their parents too in case they get divorced. And it just leads to a whole bunch of shenanigans of cats away, the mice will play, as far as the kids going crazy without their parents. And the premise seems a little unrealistic to some people, I bet, as far as like, well, you know, these kids would be in major trouble, or, you know, there's got to be ways that they can get out, all of that. The movie balances comedy with real moments, like showing parents arguing and then making up and then bonding again, and dealing with real life stuff like divorce. And that's a heavy handed topic, especially for a comedy. But I think it does a good job of showing that and putting it into a lens that a kid can relate to via a kid's comedy. It has Jamie Lee Curtis and Kevin Pollak in it. They're the big names in it. There's a few other big names from the era in it, though. Jennifer Love Hewitt, a very young Jennifer Love Hewitt's in it. And Jennifer Tilly's in it. Shooter McGavin, Christopher McDonald's in it. I love him in this movie. He's hilarious. And it's just a good little heartwarming story that I just gravitated to a lot when I was a kid. So at number 2, we got House Arrest from 1996. All right, coming in at number 1, we got Flight of the Navigator from 1986. Now, this movie is awesome. If you've never seen it, Flight of the Navigator starts out in 1978. This kid, David, is going to find his little brother, and then he ends up tripping and falling in a ravine. And when he wakes up, it's 8 years later in 1986. He goes home. His parents don't live there anymore. He doesn't know where he's at. They call the police, and he ends up getting reunited with his parents. After he's taken in by scientists so that they can do experiments to see what happens, he finds out that he's connected to a mysterious alien ship. The heart of the movie is when he meets Max, which is like a HAL character on the spaceship. He gets in on the spaceship and you're in for a ride, man. Like, Max is voiced by Paul Rubens, who was Pee Wee Herman, and he brings humor and personality to the adventure. They do a great job of making the spaceship look futuristic and high-tech. What makes this movie stand out to me is that it's got such a mixture of mystery, action, adventure, and emotion. There's like 3 little subplots going on in the movie, and they're all incredibly interesting. Like, I remember when I was a kid and he time traveled. I was so enamored with that. I just thought it was so interesting, him trying to find his parents and the science experiments. And then when he gets into the science facility, that whole mini adventure of him trying to get out of there. One of the NASA workers at the science facility is played by Sarah Jessica Parker in a very early role of hers. And her robot pal Ralph, which stands for Robotic Assistant Labor Facilitator. I love in the 80s and 90s how they use acronyms like that. Well, this little robot Ralph helps David get out of the science facility so that he can get into the spaceship. He meets up with Max. Eventually, while on the ship, David learns that it was actually the spaceship that accidentally caused the time jump, and that the spaceship didn't even mean to transport David. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. So because of that, he ends up going on an adventure to get to the exact spot where Max found him so that he can get him back home. For me now, it's definitely a warm blanket movie. I could turn this on right now and have a good time with it. It's got a lot of heart. I think it's one of the better 80s Disney live action movies for sure. I put it on the obscure list because I don't consider it one of the big Disney movies from the 80s at all. So, but it's one that I really, really like. So, anyways, that's all I got. Those are my top 5 obscure movies that I watched as a kid. Again, these are ones that just not everybody knows about them, but they're ones that I know pretty well. I could watch any of these at any time to this day. What are some of your obscure movies that you like? Let me know. And don't forget to like and subscribe in the comments. And that's all I got. And if you enjoyed this kind of nostalgia stuff, stick around. There's more coming. Thanks for watching.